All right, welcome back. So here are the answers that I got. You can pause the video right here if you would like to kind of look over my work and see if you got the same answers. So here you can see, if you're following this, it goes from left to right, and I'm just following PEMDAS all the way through. If you didn't get the same answer as me, chances are you're not following PEMDAS all the way through in the exact correct order. Each of these follows it in the exact order that you're meant to follow it in, okay? So if you have any questions about these ones, you can go ahead and reach out to me and we'll talk about one specific if you're still confused. Or you can just pause the video and look through it and try and figure it out from here. So let's move on to talking about something called the discriminant. Okay, the discriminant in a quadratic formula or in a quadratic is what we refer to as the inside piece. It's the inside of the square root. So looking back at our notes from before, if we're looking at this formula, we have to look very closely at this piece inside the square root, because what happens inside this square root is going to determine how many solutions I have. For example, what happens if I get to the end of this and then I'm taking the square root of a negative number? Is it possible to take the square root of a negative number? Well, the answer is no, because there's no there's not a single number that if you multiply by itself, it makes a negative number. So you can't take the square root of a negative number, which means you would have no solution. There's also another thing we have to talk about. What happens if you're taking the square root of the number 0? There's only one answer to that. We don't have a negative and a positive answer to that. The square root of 0 is just 0. So that's when we end up with one solution. So we have to have a name for this little piece inside here that helps determine this, and we call that the discriminant. So I'm just going to copy this basically word for word or variable for variable inside here. That's the discriminant right there, just this inside piece, the b squared minus 4ac. So whatever happens with this, we can already tell ahead of time how many solutions we're going to have. So let's make note of that. So first off, we're going to have two solutions if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. In other words, what I'm saying here is positive, right? Anything greater than 0 is positive. Then I have one solution if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, right? So there's only one possibility there. It just has to be exactly equal to 0 to get one solution. And then no solution happens if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, or in other words, negative, right? Okay, let's look at a couple examples. So these are from the book. So this is on page 480. And we're just looking at 8 through 10, I believe. Yep, 8 through 10, all. Okay? So we're going to make a note on each of these and show kind of how they match up to what the graph would look like at the end here. So let's go ahead and leave room for that on the right side. Number 8. So we have negative x squared plus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, first thing that we got to do is we got to set it equal to 0, which it already is. And then now we can just use the discriminant to see if it meets one of these criteria. Because the instructions in the book just say determine the number of real solutions of the equation. So we don't have to solve this one. We don't have to use the quadratic formula at all. We're actually just going to determine, is this going to have 1, 2, or 0 solutions, okay? So let's go ahead and use the discriminant. We'll call it D, okay? D for discriminant. So b squared, in this case, it's 4 squared, okay? Minus 4 times a, which in this case is negative 1. There's nothing written there, it's a 1. Times c, which is negative 4. Okay, let's solve this. Use PEMDAS. Exponents first, 16. Now we can go ahead and solve this part right here. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So I ended up with minus 16, which 16 minus 16 is just 0. Okay, my discriminant is equal to 0. So if my discriminant is equal to 0, then that means I have 1 solution. Okay, that's all you have to do for these. You don't have to do any more solving. So let's do number 9. Number 9 is 6x squared plus 2x equals negative 1. Okay, like I said before, you have to solve this. You have to set one side equal to 0. This is actually the first time that we have to move something around before we can solve. So we get 6x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now that we got it set equal to 0, now we can use the discriminant. So D for discriminant is going to be b squared, so 2 squared minus 4 times a times c, okay? So if we're solving this, we're doing exponents first. 4 minus 4 times 6 times 1. 4 times 6 is 24, times 1 is still 24. When we go to solve this, we get negative 20. Okay, so this one's a negative, which means I have no solution. Okay, now let's look at number 10. So number 10 is 1/2 x squared is equal to 7x minus 1. All right, we got to set this equal to 0. So we're going to do minus 7x, 1/2 x squared minus 7x equals negative 1. Add 1, 1/2 x squared minus 7x plus 1 equals 0. If I'm going too fast, you can go ahead and pause the video or slow the video down. That's totally fine. Now let's go on to the discriminant. So for this we got b squared. So b squared is 49 minus 4a is 1/2. C is 1. And now let's do multiplication. I kind of already did the exponents a step too early. Sorry about that. Got ahead of myself a little bit. 4 times 1/2 is 2, times 1 is still 2. So minus 2 equals 47. Okay? So this is positive, which means I'm going to end up having 2 solutions, right? Okay. All right, so those are my 3 different examples that I have. So let's go ahead and make kind of a note next to these. So when you end up with one solution, basically what this is going to look like is you're going to have this. And I kind of want to write this out for each one because I think it's important. You're going to have your negative b plus or minus the square root of 0 all over 2a. So notice that this is what we're solving for right here. This is what tells us how many solutions we have, just one, right? So we don't need to worry about adding or subtracting 0, because adding 0 or subtracting 0 doesn't matter. This just gives us the answer, negative b over 2a, right? If you notice, that's actually the vertex from before. So that's why we end up with one solution there. Looking at no solution, this is going to look like this. Negative b plus or minus the square root of a negative number. So here we got negative 20 as our example, all over 2a. And we can see this is the focal point now, telling us how many solutions we have. And here we can see that this is not possible. We can't solve for this. Try and type that into your calculator. You'll get error or no solution, right? Okay, and then finally we got two solutions here. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of a positive 47. Okay, that I can solve for, right? So that's going to give me my branched solutions of negative b plus the square root of 47 over 2a, and negative b minus square root of 47 over 2a, okay? All right, so that's all I have for you on this. I might end up making a video going through the homework, because I think the homework, it gets pretty tough at certain points, so it'd be nice if I went through that for you so you don't have to worry about needing to have all the right answers. I'd just like for you to attempt the homework at least. That's posted in Google Classroom. And then later on I'll release a video to help go through each of the problems. And if you still have questions, you can reach out to me. All right, sweet, thanks.